Have you ever paused to consider how many tools we deem utterly contemporary, indispensable to our frenetic daily lives, actually possess roots that delve deeply into a historical period frequently characterized as somber and stagnant? The Middle Ages, often depicted as an era of darkness, devoid of significant innovation and marked by intellectual regression, conceals, beneath this undeserved reputation, a surprising legacy of ingenuity and progress that fundamentally shaped Western civilization and, by extension, the world we inhabit today. It is facile to fall into the trap of believing that all that is relevant to our present emerged with the Industrial Revolution, the age of electricity, or the advent of the Internet. Nevertheless, our hyper-connected and technologically advanced world rests upon foundations laid centuries ago in the workshops, monasteries, and marketplaces of the Middle Ages. Envision a typical day in your life. You awaken, perhaps to an alarm. You glance at the clock to gauge your remaining time before work. On your commute, you pilot an automobile, navigating meticulously designed roadways. At the office, you utilize a computer, perhaps conducting an online banking transaction. At day's end, you peruse a book or watch a film. In each of these instances, and countless others that punctuate our existence, an unseen thread connects us to medieval inventors and thinkers. The manner in which we measure time, organize our finances, harness energy, process information, and even engage with the visual world all bear the indelible imprint of innovations that flourished between the 5th and 15th centuries. This video aims to unravel this web of influences, illuminating 10 medieval inventions that, though often overlooked, continue to shape and enrich our modern routines. This is not merely a historical curiosity, but a profound reinterpretation of a period crucial to human development. By demystifying the notion of the Dark Ages, we aim to highlight the creativity, adaptation, and perseverance that characterized the Middle Ages. It was a time of reconstruction, of consolidating new societies, and, surprisingly, of a technical and scientific flourishing that laid the groundwork for many of the conveniences and systems we take for granted today. The narrative that will unfold here will not be limited to listing inventions. It will explore their origins, how they disseminated through burgeoning cities, how they were refined, and, crucially, why their relevance transcended millennia to become an intrinsic part of our contemporary experience. Brace yourself for a journey that will compel you to re-examine your very perceptions of the past and the present. We will uncover how objects and concepts that appear intrinsically tethered to the modern world actually possess a surprisingly medieval lineage. From the temporal precision that governs our schedules to the clarity with which we apprehend our surroundings, and extending to the very methods by which energy is generated and commerce is facilitated, medieval footprints are ubiquitous. The objective is to demonstrate, lucidly and engagingly, that the Middle Ages were not a hiatus in progress, but rather a fertile epoch of innovations that, often subtly yet powerfully, paved the way for the world we inhabit. This is an invitation to view our daily existence through a renewed lens, acknowledging the past that has brought us to this juncture. The Middle Ages, far from being a period of stagnation, bore witness to advancements that revolutionized humanity's perception of time and space. Among the most impactful, though often underestimated, of these was the invention of the mechanical clock. Prior to this innovation, timekeeping was a rudimentary process, reliant on natural phenomena such as the movement of the sun, sundials, the flow of water, clepsydras, or the burning of candles. These methods were imprecise, susceptible to climatic and environmental variations, and ill-suited to the burgeoning coordination needs of cities and monasteries. The imperative for more regular and dependable temporal demarcation spurred the quest for an autonomous mechanism, capable of functioning independently of external factors. The transition from fluid, qualitative time to quantified, divisible time represented a paradigmatic shift, enabling an unprecedented level of social and economic organization. The true innovation of the mechanical clock resided in its ability to subdivide the day into equal, measurable units through the ingenious interplay of gears and weights. The fundamental principle involved a descending weight, which, by its gradual descent, powered a gear train. This gear train, in turn, actuated an escapement mechanism. The escapement, the veritable heart of the clock, meticulously regulated the intermittent release of the weight's energy, thereby generating the characteristic rhythmic tick-tock. This precisely governed motion was subsequently translated into visual indications, initially by means of a hand traversing a dial adorned with fixed markings. The earliest mechanical clocks, which emerged in European monasteries around the 13th century, were monumental and intricate devices, engineered to chime bells at predetermined intervals, thereby signaling to the monks the appointed hours for prayer and labor. This novel method of timekeeping did not remain confined to cloisters. With the burgeoning of cities and the intensification of commercial and artisanal activities, the demand for temporal precision became paramount. Guilds and trades required standardized work schedules. Merchants necessitated specific times for fairs and markets, and urban administration itself called for more efficient synchronization. Consequently, mechanical clocks began to be installed in church towers and public buildings, transforming into visual and auditory landmarks of urban life. The chime of public clocks dictated the city's rhythm, unifying its inhabitants' perception of time and fostering a new social discipline. The ability to anticipate and coordinate actions evolved into a potent instrument for organizing community life. The impact of this invention on our comprehension of the world is profound. The standardization of time facilitated the development of more intricate systems of logistics and production. Accounting, which also has its medieval roots, became more precise with the ability to record time spent on tasks and projects. Science itself, which would go on to flourish in the ensuing centuries, would fundamentally rely on accurate temporal measurements for experimentation and the formulation of laws. The transition to mechanical time laid the groundwork for the mindset of the industrial era, where efficiency and productivity are measured in units of time. Nevertheless, the proliferation and refinement of mechanical clocks were not without their inherent difficulties. The fabrication of these intricate mechanisms demanded a profound mastery of metallurgy and engineering acumen, consequently confining their initial adoption to affluent urban centers and specialized workshops. Maintenance, too, proved a complex undertaking, necessitating regular calibration and repairs by adept horologists. Furthermore, the very conception of abstract, quantifiable time, dictated by mechanical contrivances, constituted a profound cultural paradigm shift, diverging from the more organic, nature-attuned perception that had previously held sway. Absolute precision remained an aspiration yet to be fully realized, and these nascent timepieces, while undeniably revolutionary, still exhibited considerable deviations when juxtaposed against contemporary standards. Now, consider how this temporal precision, which we often take for granted when scheduling an appointment or monitoring a project's progress, is a direct legacy of medieval ingenuity. That ticking we hear, whether from a wristwatch, a smartphone, or a distant clock tower, echoes the nascent stages of time mechanization. The way we organize our lives around fixed schedules, the efficiency with which we coordinate large-scale activities, and the very notion of punctuality as a virtue can all be traced back to the intricate mechanisms of gears and weights that began to emerge in the workshops and monasteries of the Middle Ages. Intertwining the myriad facets of this exploration, we discern that the salient thread emerging is not merely the existence of inventions, but the profound metamorphosis they have instigated within the very fabric of human experience. What was once governed by caprice and an abject reliance on natural cycles has progressively yielded to a cosmos dictated by order, quantification, and predictability. This profound transmutation, propelled by contrivances and concepts that germinated in epochs oft forgotten, has fundamentally reconfigured our interaction with temporality, the organization of our societies, the stewardship of knowledge, and the exploitation of our environmental resources. Reflecting on this journey thus far, one can discern the confluence of forces that, from humble origins, have blossomed into intricate and interconnected systems. The clarity that now graces our perception, the precision that governs our transactions, the efficiency that propels our endeavors, and indeed the very capacity to record and transmit value and information, all speak to a silent revolution whose echoes resonate powerfully through every facet of our daily lives. This tapestry, woven from threads of ingenuity and necessity, reveals a striking pattern of continuity, where the past is not a mere spectator but an active participant in the construction of the present. As we approach the conclusion, it becomes apparent that the tools we have unveiled are not mere isolated artifacts, but rather integral components of a broader paradigm shift. They function as lenses, enabling us to perceive the world in novel ways and unlocking doors to previously unimagined possibilities. The capacity for design, calculation, coordination, and innovation, honed over centuries, finds fertile ground for experimentation and discovery in its medieval origins. This synergy between practical necessity and human inventiveness is what truly defines the legacy we are revisiting. Drawing from these insights, the path forward for a final reflection becomes more lucid. The complexity that surrounds us today, with its intricate interdependencies and dizzying pace, did not emerge from a vacuum, but evolved organically from seeds sown in rich historical soil. Comprehending these origins allows us to appreciate the depth and resilience of human ingenuity, demonstrating that innovation is a continuous and cumulative process wherein each advancement, however seemingly minor, contributes to the edifice of the future. It is within this context of continuity and transformation that the profound significance of these ancient inventions reveals itself, inviting a more discerning gaze upon the world we inhabit. The journey through medieval inventions that still weave the fabric of our daily lives leads us to a more profound and perhaps surprising understanding of human progress. What initially presented itself as a mere list of practical tools, the clock that disciplines us, the spectacles that unveil the invisible, the mechanisms that harness energy, the systems that organize value and information, reveals itself in its entirety as the genesis of a new way of perceiving and shaping the world. This is not merely about objects, but about a cognitive revolution, a transition from the fluidity of experience to the precision of measurement, from reliance on chance to the order of calculation. The Middle Ages, stripped of their Dark Ages shackles, emerge not as a hiatus, but as a robust foundation, an incubator of systems that, over the centuries, matured into the invisible gears of our civilization. The true magic lies in how these inventions, born from tangible needs and often anonymous ingenuity, transcended their original context to become universal. The fundamental framework of our era, the way we structure our finances, the manner in which energy is harnessed to propel progress, and the very clarity with which we decipher the world around us, all of it bears the legacy of minds that knew how to observe, question, and build. The persistence of these ideas and technologies is not merely a testament to their utility, but a reflection of their capacity for adaptation and evolution, proving that the principles of sound engineering and effective organization are, in fact, timeless. What we refer to as modern today is, to a significant extent, a sophisticated refinement of concepts that found their initial expressions in a distant past. Therefore, as we contemplate our vibrant and intricate present, it is essential to acknowledge the invisible threads that connect us to that fertile past. The driving force behind these inventions was not the pursuit of a utopian future, but the practical necessity of solving problems, of easing life, of organizing the inherent chaos of human existence. This simplicity in their origin, combined with the depth of their impact, is what lends an almost mythical character to these creations. They teach us that progress is not linear, but a complex tapestry, where each thread, even the oldest, plays a vital role in its integrity and beauty. The practical application of this knowledge commences now. The very curiosity that guided us to this juncture ought to serve as the impetus for our continued exploration into the intricate layers of our world, to scrutinize the provenance of the instruments we employ, and to hold in high regard the accumulated wisdom spanning millennia. The Middle Ages bequeathed to us a legacy of innovation extending far beyond the superficial. By acknowledging this inheritance, we not only deepen our comprehension of the past, but also empower ourselves to forge an even more auspicious future, constructed upon the robust foundations of human ingenuity, which, as we have observed, has flourished throughout all eras.